the door open because it's catchy anyway. So what you doing? Where you at? Oh, you got plans. Don't say that.
Welcome to Message Reveal. Message Reveal identifies a vibe, a message, or a story told through lyrics of a song. Well, you guys, if you're new to my podcast and this is your first time, come, join, subscribe, and find out what Message Reveal is all about. Well, if you rock with me every Monday, you know what I do and how I do. I have a special guest. And my special guest today, she has a plethora of things that I can talk about. But as I always do, I tell you just a few things that she's associated with. Well, one, she's a poet. Two, she's an author, she's a painter, and she's also, I want to get it, a performer. So you guys, please put your hands together and welcome my beautiful, I'll say it again, my beautiful guest, Miss Vouge Robinson.
Look, I need you to host everything I go to. Thank you for the warm welcome. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited, and as I tell all my guests, thank you so much for taking time out of your Friday to come and sit with me so we can learn who you are and see all the amazing things that you dabble into. I mean, it's a plethora of things. So before we get started, just tell us just a little bit about who you are. Of course, we'll talk about it, but just something that my audience can know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an auntie of three. I'm a sister. I'm a spouse. I'm my grandmother's child. There's like some of the times I tell people, like I'm Martina's grandbaby. So I'm the daughter of an educator and an artist. And I think has a lot to do with what's formed who I am. So I love to help. My husband's like, no, you're really like a helper. Like if I can assist somebody, I will. And the way I've been able to do that is with words and with writing.
Yes, I love that. That was a good intro. I like the part that you said you're your grandmother's baby.
I am.
That's amazing. I like how that you talk about, and you don't mind, I'm just gonna dive in.
Yeah.
You really talk about your grandmother and your aunt often.
I do.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So my ladies.
Yes.
But yes, this is my grandmother, Martina Carpenter, and that's her sister, Juanita P. Plez.
Oh, we bless that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And since I mentioned about your grandmother and your aunt, you actually gave a piece where you talked about your aunt's Juanita's silence.
Mm-hmm.
And you were so descriptive that I actually mentally got on the carpet ride and was able to see sometimes people's silence is also their words.
Right.
So can you just talk about or give us a little bit about whatever you want to give regarding that? But it really touched me.
Yeah. Thank you for watching the poem, for listening and reading. It's always a trip when people like, oh, I read it. I'm like, oh, you listen to my stuff?
Yes, honey. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Well, when my aunt passed away, my grandmother was like, can you write a poem for Aunt Juanita? And I was like, oh. And I was like, well, she just didn't talk as much as me. Like my grandma and I we're talkers. And Aunt Juanita was such a quiet person. And so I had to think about like, what did she wear? How did she carry herself? And as a poet, really tapping into the five senses too, and thinking about like, what did she like to cook? What did she like to eat? What are all the different ways? And so with her, yeah, even speaking ASL, making sure she learned it, she taught herself how, and then she taught her daughter, and her daughter was deaf, and just knowing that her actions spoke, and to be able to listen and see what my aunt was saying, what her values were. Like she kept her paintings organized and in order. She kept her home so beautiful, and she made sure that each of her kids was cared for, but very like catered to whatever their needs were. But that ASL, and she taught special education, so it was like she was doing it as a means of income, but she was also doing it to make sure that her daughter felt, normal in their household.
Yes, I think what I really took from that, and thank you, all of that is very beautiful and we needed insight. But for me, what I took wholeheartedly is silence is so necessary to learn. to be impactful.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't have to say anything,
Right.
sometimes it's a look. Like people know me and I'll be like, or my daughter I say, when I don't have a word just yet, I just go, So I really like how you played with that. It was really, you brought it to life. You did such an excellent job. So I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the line is Amanita, I'm sorry I took your silence as a signal that you had nothing to say when you spoke in so many ways. Yeah.
Yes, that part. And I think that is great for the ones that are maybe introverts.
Yep.
Because a lot of times people think that they don't have anything to say or they're not communicating, but really they are in their own special way. So it can be many layers, but I felt like that was a great conversation piece I wanted to acknowledge.
Thank you. Yes.
Are welcome. Well, I love music.
Yes, we both
Music
do.
has turned me all the way out in such a great way. And I say all of that to say this. Can you identify a song that has either blessed you, distracted you, or
Mm.
provided lessons?
Ooh.
Now, before you
Okay.
answer,
Yeah.
there's a couple of rules to this.
Okay.
Now, if you can sing,
Okay.
I would like you to sing your
See, you
throat
didn't
box out.
you ain't even tell me we was gonna be saying. Okay, I'm ready.
If you can
Mm-hmm.
rap, I need you to come hard in the paint. Do
Okay.
it. But if you choose not to do either
Mm-hmm.
one, I want you to say it boldly. They say in the
Yeah.
streets, stand 10 toes down. I need to
Yeah.
be able to feel it with passion.
Right.
So I'll go back to my original question. Can you identify a song that has either blessed you, distracted you, or provided lessons?
Oh, okay. It's so funny. I want to go in orders, but I would say,
It could be either or. You don't have to do
yeah,
all three. You can do whatever you choose.
yeah. Uh, I would say, I mean, a lot of Indiari's first album was really pointed for me. I think I was in like ninth or 10th grade, maybe. And so it was great to have somebody who was, really like fully natural. She was always in cotton, like she was just kind of a simple woman. And so I think her vibe already hit. And then I'm trying to think about, there were so many songs. But I feel like Strength, Courage, and Wisdom is the
Mm.
one that kind of just like lifts you all the way up because you're just sitting here, strength, courage, and wisdom. It's been inside of me all along. Like, and it's like I have to look at the lyrics now because I'm like nervous now. Yeah, but I do know the whole song. But I
Yes.
played it for my nieces because we drop off the eldest at one school and then I have an hour in between to drop off the other two. So in that hour, we're jukebox karaoke chilling and I let them pick songs and we add songs to our family playlist. And so I played that song and they all just kind of bobbed their heads and then we were all singing it and like they got out of the car and I could tell they just had like this extra energy in their walk. And you just want to, we're gonna cry already.
That's okay.
I
But
want to impart them with strength, courage, and wisdom. I want them to walk with their heads up high and be proud of who they are. And I want them to just have it on repeat. I was like, y'all done messed up. I'm about to play this every but it was just like, oh, it fed me when I was young. And they're actually way younger than I was when I got a hold of that song. So to hand them that song now feels like such a giant gift. And I hope that it like fortifies them. Yeah.
oh, that is some spiritual wisdom. You're feeding them much younger than you to say you need strength, courage, and wisdom. And tell me that it is not what we need to navigate through life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. And I applaud you for thinking about it, not just on a mundane, like, yeah, we're playing music and I love music, but you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking about it spiritually and for in the future. So I applaud you for that.
Yeah, here now I'm looking at the lyrics like time to step out on faith. Yeah. Time to show my face. It goes.
Yes,
It goes.
yes. I love that. So, I'm poking a little. You can tell me to get out of your business.
No,
So, are you help raising your nieces?
I just help. I help a lot. I mean, I moved here. I moved to Vegas because my sister was pregnant with my eldest niece, and I was like, "Oh, there's a baby in there. It's mine." And then she was like, "Anyways," and had two more kiddos, and so it's just um, we're not close with my mother, and so and my grandma raised us, and so really, it's me and my sister, you know. So she ever needs a sitter, I take them to school a couple days a week, so I show up. I show up. That's all I wanted to do was be present.
No, I love that. Your story mimics mine. For
Mm,
years and years, I didn't have any children, and I was the aunt that did everything because I wanted to be a part of their life.
right.
And I guarantee you, it pays off. They now help me with my children, and they talk about the
Mm,
memories that we collectively had together. So keep doing that. Trust me, it is amazing.
yeah.
So let's talk about this amazing thing, being a poet laureate. And you did it from 2017 to 2019, correct?
Yes, correct.
So for those that don't know or don't have an idea what a poet laureate, can
Mhm.
you just give a brief description and then talk about your journey?
Yeah. A poet laureate, you are the ambassador for poetry. And so you're selected by a committee of community members and organizers. And so you've submitted your application. You say, I want to do this job. It's a job. I want this role, but it's an honorary title. And so it's saying like we W, you know, our the voice for our poets and poetry. So you're creating access for poets, putting poetry in interesting places. You're creating workshops, so writing workshops, but you're also trying to help bring other poets into the community as well. So for myself, when I got the position, I was already helping the previous poet laureate, so I really knew how to do the job. Like,
That's
I was,
awesome.
yeah, I had like really a full behind the scenes, and so we were writing grants to bring in poets. So every year, probably for the past like 5 years, we had brought in the poet laureate of the United States. So we brought in Tracy K. Smith.
Oh,
Um, we brought in Juan Felipe Herrera, and then during even COVID, the nonprofit that we helped, like that I helped put together, also brought in Joy Harjo just on Zoom because we couldn't bring her physically here. And so there are things about that program that still continue to reverberate throughout the community. But it's teaching workshops, having performances. Like I went to read poems at the Library of Congress, and that was representing Las Vegas, and it was super cool.
of course. Of
And it was,
course.
and I had that. So the poet laureate of the United States. So we have you have the U.S. poet laureate, and that's kind of the highest level you can have in the U.S. And that's a paid gig. It's like 40,000 it used to be, and then you get an office in the Library of Congress, and it's a very like old office, but you get free time to come into that space. Yeah, there's a book every poet laureate the U.S. has signed already, and we got to go sign that book myself and the other poets who came to the Library of Congress that year.
Wow,
Yeah,
how wonderful. Um, I needed you to say these things. So on my podcast, just so you know,
yeah,
I have an invisible pew. You can't
okay,
see them. I can't see them.
okay,
But we're speaking to that individual that may be interested in this process and
yeah.
really had no idea, or you're sparking their interest to say, wow, I didn't know it's this whole world that I can tap into, and it has all these different things that I can participate in. Because
Mm-hmm.
really, if we package it all up, a poet laureate is an advocate for many levels of poetry,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yes. Yeah, in the classroom, in the streets. I did an Alzheimer's poetry project. So we literally went into um, adult daycare centers and taught poetry there. And we took middle school and high school students into those spaces to try to destigmatize the feelings around aging and to teach them what is dementia, the umbrella of dementia, and Alzheimer's is under that umbrella. It's one of those things that can impact somebody's brain. But poetry, art, music, those things tend to stay intact in our brain. So you could forget the street you grew up on, you could forget your daughter's name, but if you used to play the piano, you can still play the piano even if you have dementia, if you have early onset Alzheimer's. The art stays. So certain poems, if a person memorized a poem when they were in 5th grade, it's still in their brain, and all you have to do is prompt them, and it comes forward.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
some great information. And it takes me back to I forget what movie it was. It came out in maybe 2000, and I remember, I can't think of the lady, but she would go in and out, and when music was played, it would spark her to come out. So that's some really valid information to say, and that would encourage all of us to make sure we dive into the art, whether
Yeah.
you want to showcase it to everyone or just have it to your heart. It has its benefits of long-term longevity to create, to be able to be expressive and all those things. I
And
don't
it
mean to go
strengthens
on
your
and on.
mind. Yes, it
Yes,
strengthens your mind
yes.
in a different way. You're nurturing your mind in a different way. And it might be a pathway to being more lucid. If God forbid something happens and you have dementia or Alzheimer's.
Yeah, I think that's really great. So, since we're on that same chord, let's talk about the opportunity that you had for Martha Stewart
Oh, Martha's
Vineyard.
Vineyard.
Yes, talk about that background and what you've done for that.
Yes. So the Martha's Vineyard Institute for Creative Writing, it's literally on Martha's Vineyard, which actually has no connection to Martha Stewart at all. We just all think it does because it's bougie and it's sand and it's
And the
white
name.
cotton. Yeah, for sure. It's actually named after some colonizer's daughter. But it's and then there's no vineyard, like there's no wine vineyards on the island. It's just vines. And
Wow.
so, we could talk about that man's creativity or lack thereof.
Okay.
It's a beautiful space. So I got the gig because a poet I met here in Vegas. We worked together. We did poetry stuff in Vegas for a minute, and she moved away. But we kind of kept in contact through like LinkedIn, a little bit of Facebook and stuff. And the the Martha's Vineyard Institute for Creative Writing is a week-long writers retreat. And I would say honestly, it's probably one of the best writers retreats that you can have, which is a lot to say, but I say that because your first 2 days, the calendar isn't like jam packed, which gives me anxiety.
Okay.
The calendar is you wake up, you kick it with the homies, you have breakfast with the friends. At noon, there are two classes you can choose from, and then at 2 o'clock, I think there are two classes you can choose from. But there's always a built-in break. Everybody has the same hour
Nice.
off for lunch. So your breaks are built in. So those first 2 days, and you're not trapped, but you can select different genres. So if you're a poet, you can take a fiction class. If you're a fiction writer, you can take a poetry class. They don't tell you you have to stay in your genre. You get a chance to, so those, it's like 3 days of classes. Wednesday, everybody has off to just frolic around the island. They're like, go enjoy yourself. If you want, you can have a one-on-one meeting with a mentor, a writer who is one of the faculty or staff members. You have a one-on-one with us and you give us 10 pages of your poetry and we go through your manuscript together.
Wow.
So
That
instead of it,
is,
go ahead.
no, that's totally in depth. Who
Yes.
has the opportunity to do that?
So that's the thing. There are scholarships available, so you can pay to come. Obviously, they'll take your money, but there's scholarships for people who are LGBTQ plus. There are scholarships for people who are Black folks. There are scholarships for Latinx people. There are scholarships for different people. If you are a teacher and you've been teaching, you're an educator, there's a scholarship just because you are an educator. If you are like a community servant, and there's a scholarship to say, okay, we know that if you're a community servant, then you probably haven't had time to put aside for your writing because you've been busy creating opportunities for others. So there's a path for that. So it's like 12 different sponsorships that are available that'll try to pay at least 50% of your way to come to the island. Everybody can either stay in the main building or you can stay in, surrounding Airbnbs. And one of the things that the founder, Alexander Weinstein, said was, I want you all to leave your inner critic on the mainland.
Mm.
While you're here, I want you all to explore. I want you to have fun. I want you to connect with others. I'm working against the idea that writing is a solitary thing to do. It doesn't have to be a solitary field. We can do this together in community, and we can do it in somewhere. And Martha's Vineyard, had been the place that he went to a lot as a child. His family took him all the time. So his parents actually like helped fund it. So
Wow.
yeah, and it's, it's this gift, this love letter. But as soon as they saw that they were missing people of color and people who maybe have financial hardship, they said, okay, well, how do we combat that? And they made all of those fellowships. And because of those fellowships, the demographics of who gets to come changed drastically just from them looking and saying who's in the room and who's not in the room.
Wow. And what time of year does this particular
Summer, summer, summertime. Like, okay. The bag of no wine. So yeah, always in the summer. I usually go the first week. So like it'll be like May 26th, so like around Memorial Day. And at that time, it's not quite open that area. Like it's a tourist driven town.
of
Um,
course.
and so for them, there is summer, and that's when they get their money, and maybe spring. But I know for sure, like we were there, and there were certain stores that weren't open until June 1st. So like we were there
Oh,
May 26th. Certain stores weren't even open yet. June 1st, music down, up and down the street.
wow.
Oh, okay. So the other cool thing is that Martha's Vineyard is a site for Black leisure pre-civil rights.
Wait. Okay. I have a pause moment. I need you to say that again because I don't think my invisible pew got that. So say it one more time.
Yeah. Martha's Vineyard is a site for Black leisure pre-civil rights. There
Really?
was a beach because they didn't like us they didn't like us in pools, and they didn't want us
Yes.
in the same beaches as them. I'm gonna have to look it up because I want to tell you the full facts on
Yes,
everything.
ma'am.
Give me 2 seconds.
Not a problem.
That beach though, is it? Hold on. Look, I got everybody and their mama. Martha's Vineyard, Black Beach, because there was a movie about it too. The
Hmm.
Inkwell. So the ink
Oh,
in
I
Oak
remember
Bluff,
seeing that.
significant. So when I tell you I found on YouTube an ad, it was an ad that was like, if you want to go take your family, because it was a place for kind of the Black elite, Black folks who had been slowly accumulating money, or if you worked for a wealthy family and you were making a certain amount of money and you were like, hey, I want to take my Black family to go do something joyful, but also be safe. This is a time where the Green Book is
Yes.
in consistent use. The Inkwell was one of those places. And the commercial said, if you want to go and you want to take your family and have a good old time and you don't want whitey all up in your face, go to the Inkwell Beach. And I was like, where was this commercial aired?
Wow. That had to be connected to the Green Book.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it's definitely one of those sites. So yeah, I mean, like, the white folks called it the Inkwell, like this is where Black people dip their feet into. But of course, we're good for taking a term and turning it around and saying, okay, well, if it's a well, this is a fullness. But it's a beautiful beach. And so I felt it was definitely a calling because I'm not good at relaxing. And while I was there, I was like, I don't have no choice. This is the ancestors said,
Say
look,
that.
Sway, this is a beach where at a time where we didn't have, there were so many rights we did not have yet. And
Mhm.
they still went here and enjoyed themselves and were free and Black and joyful. And if I had the nerve to open up my little stanky emails and send somebody a message while I am on this vacation space
Girl.
ancestrally, I
Hmm.
was gonna catch it. So I just, I had to relax.
I love that. I love that you really talked about that because when we're in spaces where we either paid or we were invited to come and relax, we need to relax. And I think we've adopted so many other, I don't know how to put it, things in life where we have to, oh, I'm doing this 10 things, I'm doing this 20 things, oh, I'm getting up 3 o'clock in the morning. It's a time and place for that. But when you go to a space to just relax.
Mm-hmm. One of the fellowships I just remembered, sorry to cut you off.
No,
One of them is parent writer fellowships. So if you are a parent, you just tell it. I got 5 kids, I got 2 kids, I have 1 kid. They created a fellowship to where you apply for it. And if you have children who are 16 and younger living with you, they will send you extra money, knowing that you're probably going to need help with childcare. You might have to, if your grandma's watching the kids, she's going to need some money for food. So there's a fellowship specifically for parents.
wow. I cannot express enough that this is a world I had no idea about. That's why you were so important to come on here to discuss and share these things because whether it's now, 2 years from now, a year from now, somebody can tap in and view this video and become curious and begin to do research. So thank you so very much. And this is an annual thing for you, correct?
Yes, yeah, I did it last year, and our team the team of the cohort of educators that were there, we taught so well together, we got along so well together that the coordinator was like, "Oh no, I want all of you guys to come back as the same faculty again, because as a faculty, you guys are the faculty dream team." We had a COVID outbreak, and we all just banded together and wrote the protocol for like what happens when this occurs. We have to be transparent. We provided masks for everyone. We changed our final reading where all the students all of the attendees were reading their work. We moved it from indoors to outdoors, but like
Wow.
we weren't playing. Like everybody was ready, and
Wow.
it sucked, but we were ready and we made adjustments.
And that's the thing, being flexible, but being transparent and being professional in how you execute it. So, of course, the person was like, hey, you guys need to come together because that was a trying time. And if you can execute that, baby, you can
Huh.
do anything.
Whatever you want. Yes.
Yes, I love that. Thank you for giving us details. Thank you for the history of the Inkwell. I'm gonna go watch that movie again.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched it years ago as just a movie, but now I have some reference points for it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So let's get back into our music boat. Let's talk about, or can you identify a song that you have been singing all your life, and then one day you were like, wait 1 minute, I've been singing this song and I thought it was all about this, and now I realize it's about something else. Can you identify a song?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a poet because of song lyrics. Like I used to read the linings in CDs, and the structure of a song is very similar to the structure of a poem. So I'm really a poet because of songs. So it didn't take me long, but probably next too close. It's like, the girl part of the song is like, step back, you're dancing kind of close, feel a little poke coming through on you. Girl, I know you felt it, boo. I can't help it. You know what I want to do. And I'm just like, it's a grinding song. Oh, this is
Oh my gosh, this is a reoccurring. So my previous guest brought that up. I had another guest that brought this. You're probably the fifth. No, this is something because let me say this until you guys brought it to my attention, over my head.
literally, I mean, the opening, he's literally saying over the top, I wonder if she could tell I'm hard right now. Like, I don't think any of us really clocked that verbalized what he said.
No, you're absolutely right. And I love that you brought that up, but let's talk about this even deeper. We have access now to
Mm-hmm.
really dive deep in an instant, go on our phone and go, oh.
Mm-hmm.
So let's dive a little deeper. What
Mm-hmm.
was it and how was it, or how old were you when you like, wait a minute, let me look at the lyrics to see what the song is all about?
Yeah, I think it was fifth grade. But
Wow.
and now I feel like I got to give you a different one. Okay, so the other one is Shaka Khan Sweet Thing, which played at one of my friends' weddings. And it's not, I would love you anyways,
I
even if you
just
cannot
went.
stay. I think you are the one for me. Here's where you ought to be. You're not mine. I can't deny it. Why? It's a whole ass cheating song.
Literally 2 months ago, and I love that song. Oh, sweet thing,
Mm-hmm.
don't you know you're my girl?
You're not mine, and I can't deny it. No.
Oh my! But that shows you. So I say this all the time. We vibrate to the tone, the cadence, the energy of the song. And because of that, we're like, oh, we love that. And then we go, wait a minute. I didn't know it was about that.
Come on. I wish you were my lover.
Girl, keep giving us the one. Oh my God. And you,
Baby, don't walk away. Don't be so shady. Don't want your money, don't want your money. Come on.
girl,
You're
come
my heat, you're
on.
my fire. Make me weak with strong desire. Love you my whole life long. Be it right there. That's actually the key is be it right or be it wrong.
Come on now. Tell the truth. And you said that was played at a wedding?
Yes.
They didn't know no better because I didn't know no better. And now that you're breaking it down, I know better. Wow. And then the part that you just really highlighted, be it right or be it wrong. Wow.
I'm only what you make me, baby. Don't walk away. Don't be so shady. Like, wait, but who's shady? Who? It's
Wow.
such a good song. Like it. Oh, it is. It's because they're so because it's Shaka Khan. Her voice is so dynamic, sweet, and you're just waiting for the riffs. Dun, 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 literally, but literally, yeah, not mine. Not mine.
Girl, what a valid point. Matter of fact, I think I saw an interview with Shaka Khan maybe 6 months ago, and the person that was interviewing her asked her which song that really stood out far as people always being able to collectively
All
sing it
together,
together.
all of
And
us,
that's the song.
all of us. Don't you know? You're my everything. Do, 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 do. Yes, you are. Do do do. Because we're all waiting for it to hit the you know.
Yes, yes, yes. Mm,
You know.
yes. And her voice is so melodic and the syncopation and how it comes, we all strive to go, oh, even though we're not there, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just, again, it's a great song far as collective participation.
Yep.
But honey, you didn't pull the wool, the cover, everything off of that, okay? That was a great one. Come
Yeah, I think I
on.
was probably in my probably 28, 29 when I was like I really looked at it and was like, wait a minute, because I love lyrics. I
Yes.
love lyrics. I'm just sitting there, I'm like, wait. And the way
Yes.
she hit be it right or be it wrong, like she didn't try to cover it up. Her
Hmm.
the first time she hits be it right or be it wrong, the wrong wrongs. Okay. The wrong goes down the way like she told us, and we just were like, anyways, you're my heat, you are my fire.
You know what? I'm having too much fun with you over this, okay?
Let me
Come
know, I'll go
on,
crazy.
Vogue. Come on. But no, you're absolutely right. And that's why I love to have guest perspective because the way you guys can unfold something, it makes me go, you know what? You're right. So, wow. You know what? I just got to give you a hand for that.
Just want to,
That,
want to mess up your life for a
oh
day.
my gosh, that
I
was
want to
amazing.
dedicate this to my husband. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Girl, for real, okay? Not that song. Let's find another one. Wow. Well, that was so good. That was so wonderful. Let's talk about, since we're already on lyrics, we're already
Yeah.
on songs that make you go, let's talk about creating this bomb ass, yes, I'm saying the
Hey,
word, bomb ass
hey,
music
yes,
through resume that you're putting together. When you
yes,
told me about that, I was like, wait, excuse me. I
yeah,
turned into a different person. You're doing what? You were like, yes, I love music. And I was like, oh, this is definitely a treat. So please tell me the catalyst for it and then how you just
yeah.
open up
Okay,
that
yes.
process.
Okay, so now you got to go through the exercise, Miss Hallema. You ready?
Okay.
You're gonna go through it. Okay, so I was playing just music, and it's like the Silk Sonic "Leave the Door Open." So it's Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak, I think. And so the "Leave the Door Open" because it's catchy anyway. So what you doing? Where you at? Where you? Oh, you got plans? Don't say that. And like I loved it and was singing and walking around, but one day I don't know, I was in my feelings, I was in a weird space, and it was like, what you doing? And the echo of what you doing. And I was like, why are you in my business, Bruno? It's like, where are you at? None of your business where I'm at, sir. And then, oh, you got plans. And I said, really? Those are three quick key questions, though, that can build a very strong bio, because I help a lot of artists write a bio for themselves because people hate to talk about themselves and it feels grandiose, or they don't want to brag and they conceal what they've done. They're like, well, that one time I was like, no, did you speak at a conference? Were you the keynote? Did you coordinate the Black History Month Trailblazers Award
Good
event
boy. I
with
need to do my
with
bio.
15 different, 15 different vendors, 17 moving parts, a choir, a step team, etc. Did you reach out to each one of those artists? Did you make the certificates? And why? Oh, I was there and I did the thing. I don't have time for that. So
Wow.
how do I persuade people to show up in the fullness of themselves? And I have to make it fun. Also, I don't like being bored, but I have to make it fun. So how do I make you talk? How do you make you talk your shit? Like, how do I make you
No,
say
I love
all that you
that.
are? And
Yes.
so it starts there. So what you doing? So Miss Hallema, what you doing? What you doing with your life right now?
Girl, my podcasting, my children, all these different
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm. So you are podcasting, you're raising your beautiful children, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then the other part of what you do and the sub questions of that is like, how do you help others?
Well, I help others by volunteering, by going out supporting different venues, different. Just recently, I had someone that's participating in the Juneteenth program, and she wanted me to come and support. But not only that, I offered my platforms for her to highlight her things.
Beautiful. So boom, volunteering within the community, coordinating Juneteenth and other like heritage celebrations. Boom, second line of your bio. Where you at? So the where you at question has levels, right? It can be physically where you at. And we say physically because for a bio, this is people need to know how much it's going to cost them to flew you out.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
you tell them what city you're located in. This is why it's in there. So physically, emotionally, right? Because you might be in a different emotional space. You might have just come through something. You might have just had a breakthrough, and that might inform the work that you do. And then that comes over here to spiritually. So answer that question. You can answer one or all three, but where are you at is the question.
You can I tell you how impressed and how I just gotta say, damn dope, dope, dope that is? Oh my gosh, you just by you saying that, you're giving me where I can sit down because I'm actually working on a book and I need to form a bio. And you're right. I'm like, what am I going to really say about myself? I have multiple things, but the way you craft it, you make it not intimidating. You just make it flow. I
Mm-hmm.
am so impressed. I need to book some time with her.
Hey, we're doing it now. So, okay, you got to answer the question. Where you at?
Oh, spiritually, I am. This is my new year for me.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm looking at things in a new perspective. So I'm deleting the old
Mm-hmm.
and I'm coming up with new things. And when I say I'm deleting the old, the things that no longer serve me.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you don't see a snake put the skin back on.
Mm-hmm.
Once it sheds the skin, it is what it is. So just
Mm-hmm.
moving forward with things that I've had in my dreamscape, um, things with my podcasting, with my family, far as traveling, I get to move forward with that in my new year.
Boom. So how I would reframe that to you is uh Miss Halima is in a state of refinement. She is shedding her old skin and moving into the new, and manifesting her dreams, traveling and spending more time with her family and doing the things that she's passionate about.
Come on, y'all. Listen, listen. This is not, she didn't, this is a professional.
Like on the spot.
Listen, you guys, anything she's doing, you better tap in. This is a treasure. From day one, I said this to her. I've always saw the beauty inside and out. I am impressed. But seriously, we're going to tap in
Yes.
afterwards.
Yes. You got to do the third one. Oh, you got plans. And that comes with, how do you hope your work impacts the world? Or like, to what end are you working towards? Which kind of becomes like a mission statement. You know what I mean? So it's a soft mission statement writing workshop. Also, it's very quiet. But oh, you got plans. What are your plans, friend?
So my plan is to continue on my podcasting so we can see that all walks of life have a perspective of not only life, but music, and music is the great connector.
Mm-hmm. Miss Halima is on a mission to show people of all walks of life that music is the great connector. And she does that through her podcast and connecting with others.
Yes, yes.
So it's like your
I
body.
love it. Go ahead, girl. Wow. She put me on the spot too. I didn't know I was going to be put on the
We
spot,
out
but
here
I love
working
it.
together. So it's there's 8 to 10 songs on that playlist. So like Kendrick Lamar's DNA, in one of the lines he goes, "This is Paula's oldest son." And my question for that is, whose child are you? And if the
Mm.
order matters, then say so. So for me, you said, "Who are you, Vogue?" Like, well, I'm Martina's grandchild, and I say that coming from that inspiration of Kendrick Lamar saying, "This is Paula's oldest son." Because I was like, oh, he just shot at his, you know what I mean? Like I had to sit up straight. I said, oh, this is Paula's oldest son. Y'all
I
better not
love
play with
it.
Paula's oldest son. Paula's oldest son will come for you, Drake.
Yes. Okay.
You better not mess with Paula. But what's inside? I got loyalty, I got royalty inside my DNA, right? So then the question for you, question for me, what's inside your DNA, right? I am the child of an educator.
Yes.
What are you compelled to do, compelled to make? What is your attitude towards life? And that's all just based out of DNA, out of Kendrick's song.
You listen, the complexities, but also the simple. Yes, that's complex, but you took it without destroying it and made it simple enough that if it was a 5-year old, they can speak to the essence
Oh,
of that.
that's true.
Amazing. So, what if somebody wants to participate? How long are you doing the class? If not, is it something for the future? This
Yeah.
is super dope. I need to come and attend all those great things. I hope I didn't give you too much too fast.
Oh no, you're great. I do it right now. There's a recorded version of the class I facilitated, so you can take it asynchronously, and then you get a worksheet from me that has all of my questions laid out and a playlist that comes with it. Like it opens up and with these are the breaks, because it's like we got to do
Love
this.
it.
I just your framework is you're always changing and growing. Your bio is going to always change and grow with you. There's no way around it. Let it go. Um,
Oh,
using a system that maintains your work. So mine is in a Google Doc that just says all of Vogue's bios because I got about 17 of them. Because it depends on where I'm going and what's the length. You need a 100, you need a 200, you usually need about a 350. But different places want different length of bios, right? Like you asked me for a specific length of
yes.
bio. They are locked and loaded. If you want a 2 sentence, I'm unhappy that you've asked me for 2 sentences, but I have it.
Yes.
But
And
I'm
you
like,
were Johnny on the spot just to say, and it was well crafted, but you already had it together.
yes, and it
Okay.
saves you time as an entrepreneur, as a guest speaker. It's just going to save you so much time if you know exactly where's that bio at instead of digging through your sent folder, which I have done. It's in a specific document that I always have access to, whether it's notes on your phone or a Google Drive document, because you can put Google Drive on your phone. So yeah, you can get it from my Instagram page at Vogue R316. I should put it on my website. It's so funny. It's heart work, and I have to it's so tough sometimes to charge people for this thing that I love so much.
Mm,
And not that I don't know that it is work, but that I know that literacy can be a barrier to people's dreams.
yeah.
And if you've got a gig coming up and you don't take it because you couldn't think of the words, like you couldn't write a bio, come on, Sway, like then I'll just spend the time with you. So the
Yes.
the workshop is online now. Specifically, it's $25 so that anybody can take it if they don't have time to take it with me directly. And if you want one-on-one time with me, then it costs more.
Of
um
course.
it's just premium. It's a
No,
premium, but I want
no,
people to have
no.
access. I want to build access.
Yes. And I like that you have two different levels. Like, hey, if you just want to do online, but if you want that one-on-one time, whatever your price is your price. And I
Right.
respect what it is because your time is precious because you are the crafter or the curator of this process. So go ahead, girl. And at the
So fun.
end, we're going to make sure you provide all that detailed information so people can tap in. And I'll put everything in the description box
Mm,
again. So if it's a year from now, they're like, what? I want to know. They can have access and get in contact with you.
yeah. Okay. I'm gonna share one more with you. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So the one of the ones I mean I love all of these songs so much, but California Love with Tupac and Dr. Dre, especially.
Wow.
Yes, always. Yeah. No, it's all hip hop songs because braggadocio is a foundation for hip hop culture, right? None of them are like, "Oh, I'm the most mediocre rapper in the game right now," said no
Absolutely
one.
not.
Right. It's I'm the best. You just started. Who are you? I'm the best. I'm the one. All y'all are just even so that energy, like, how do I help bring that out of you? And it's like, well, you need the persona, you need a hip hop persona. So in California Love, Dre says, I've been in the game for 10 years making rap tunes ever since Honeys was wearing Sassoons, right? At the Super Bowl, he got to that line and I was like, oh my God, because he changed it. He said, I've been in the game for 20 years. He might have said 30. I have to look, but I think he changed it to 20 because it's been my whole life at least. But he changed the years to match how long he'd been in the game. He'd been in the game for 20 years making rap tunes. And he paused for a second to receive his applause and flowers about it ever since Honeys was wearing Sassoons. And so the question behind this, like, how many years have you been making rap tunes? Like, how many years have you been a director, a coordinator? How many years have you been a community organizer? Because for many of us, we've been volunteering and doing community work since high school. And so if you do the math, right? I was in high school. I finished high school in 2004. So if I'm mathing,
girl, great
I've been
point.
doing community service for like 20 some odd years.
Wow.
But it's not, and I was coordinating volunteers for stuff for Rotary and Interact Club.
That is
I was doing Meals on Wheels.
Yes, I didn't even think about that. I was human relation president. I did in high school. Like all of those things, I wouldn't even dare to think about that. When I say you're sparking my mind, oh my gosh.
How many years you been making rap tunes, Miss Hallema? How many years? For real, how long you been in the game? And you have to say it. You have to claim it, because we'll shrink ourselves. We'll make ourselves, oh, it was high school and it didn't count. But a remarkable young person when you see one.
Yes.
And so then you got to look back at young you and say, hey, I was a remarkable young person.
What a great point. Like, I am, you guys, sometime I'm the teacher and sometime I'm the student. I am all student today, okay? That is you are really giving my mind things to think about on so many levels. And if I can just jump in and say this, my first season, I had they call it headhunters.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And she talked about something to that extent, how we gloss things to the side or we forget about it. And she talked about making sure, like, if you went to a conference, you put those things down to craft.
Yes.
And this is the same thing in a different way, but it helps you develop who you are without you being like, oh, I shouldn't say this. And I don't know where we get that, where we don't talk about ourselves.
Right. The forced humble, like humility, and I think we use the term incorrectly. I think as Black women in particular, like there's a push of be more quiet, be more agreeable, and you have to be twice as good. So whatever work you did, oh, you coordinated that, you stepped up, well, it doesn't matter. You just had to make sure that it's a searching for worth and for people. Oh my God, what is the look? It's almost out of my, when somebody looking for validation, but to not acknowledge that it's work is a crime.
Yes.
Against your freaking well-being.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Say that again.
Yeah, it's a crime against your well-being to not acknowledge when you're doing work. And I say that talking to myself. We talked about my email earlier, but the idea that if I think in my head, oh, today I was doing a podcast with Miss Hallema and it was fun. It was fun, but it is also work. Like this is professional equipment. I blocked this off on my calendar. I took my notes. I was looking up songs earlier to be like, which of the songs are gonna match these questions? I had to put my mind to it, and I had to be really present and tell my husband, I'm about to be podcasting, so it's still work.
Yes.
And if it's just, we kicked it, no, it's work.
Yes.
And it's okay that it was enjoyable and that you would do it for free, but not everybody has the skills that you have, and you got to know it's work. And if you went to a conference, you put the stupid conference on your darn resume, I'll fight you. Every conference, okay?
Yeah.
I just when I was an attendee, did you go? Did you learn some things? Was it one of the only conferences in human resources? Is it the best human resources conference in the US? Yes. And you attended it, and you've attended it 5 years in a row?
There you go. Yeah, you're really, really getting the brain cells working. Not just for me, because the invisible pew, they talking to me, baby. They talking to me. They was like, yes, we well, they love all my guests, let
Of
me say
course,
that.
you select
But
carefully.
you're stimulating their brain, you're giving them something to think about. Not only is my podcast centered about music, I say uh, edutainment, meaning
Entertainment.
you need to be educated but entertained, and we need to hear your voice. So you have really touched on all those levels, and I'm so appreciative of that. But as we transition out of this little segment, and thank you so much for it, again, amazing. As soon as I get off, I'm gonna write some notes.
Yes, email them to
Just
me.
yes, I will definitely do that for sure. And then she can critique me and guide me where I can be better at expressing who I am verbally. I feel like I am, but when I put it down on paper, I'm like, I don't know if I should say that. So thank you.
Mhm.
So let's talk about something that I was just so enamored by, and my audience has to be like amazed by this as well. You are the first, I'll say it again, the first Black woman to be in, and I want to get this right, to receive the Silver Pen Award for Nevada. So tell me a little bit about that, when it was actually, you took that actual process and what the silver pen is all about.
Yeah. So Nevada has a Writers Hall of Fame, which did you know that?
I found out a year ago.
Right. So Nevada has a whole Writer Hall of Fame, and they have ceremonies. It's run through UNR, and they select artists and they select writers to be there, in the Hall of Fame. They also have, outside of those inductees, there are Silver Pen awardees, and the Silver Pen, I call it this. It's like it's the head nod. It's like I see you. That's my translation of it,
I
anyways.
like that.
They're not like us, but that's what I've
Okay.
I've translated.
I like that. I love that you perfected that. You said the head nod.
It's
Like I
it's
see
it's,
you.
it's all right. It's
Yes.
you out here writing. Okay, you doing good stuff for the community, but you have to be a resident of Nevada. You either need to be writing about Nevada, or you need to be a writer that is in Nevada who is doing their job, doing the work and helping put us on the map. And so for me, I think the combination of being the poet laureate of Clark County, because it's not a city, it's the whole freaking county, which is
Yes.
massive, and going to different parts of Nevada. Like I had gone up to Reno quite a few times to read poems. I was asked to actually read a poem when the governor was when Governor Sisolak stepped into the role, but my grandmother was ill, and so I couldn't come. So I had the homie Lindsay, he was the poet laureate for Reno. I called him and was like, "I'm so sorry, but come on, fam. The poet
Yes.
laureate, can you show up?" And he lives there. It wasn't gonna cost him nothing to just roll
Dry.
drive over to Carson
Yes.
City. But yes, so it is an entity organization, and it's run, yeah, through UNR, and they have their induction ceremony. So I received the Silver Pen Award. Technically, I actually received it in 2020, and so I couldn't fly into town. Like they do like kind of a gala, like it's a fundraiser situation. It's
Wow.
a whole big to do. They get, it's black tie. It's a lovely affair. And so the year that I won it, they actually just pivoted and had kind of a celebration online. And then the next year they were recuperating. And so I think actually I didn't get to go in
Mm.
and receive everything until 2022. So 2022, they flew me in. They let me stay at the hotel that I like in Reno called the Whitney Peak. And so yeah, I have an actual physical, like, made out of silver pin, because we're the silver state. So I have a silver pin that has my
Wow.
name engraved across it. Um, and then what was actually more meaningful, or just as meaningful, is the woman who was the coordinator, the woman who was booking everything.
Yeah.
She's also a silversmith, and she made me a feather necklace. Well, she brought me a feather necklace, and it was on a piece of, like, hide is the string, but it
Mhm.
was something that she pounded, with her own hands, and it
Wow.
has these beautiful details. I keep it in the box. I have not worn it yet, but her kindness and care for me. Because I always said I wanted to, I want to be flued out. Like I helped flew a bunch of folks into town, into Vegas, and be like, "What do you eat? What you want for dinner? Here's the lovely hotel." And, like, drove our guests everywhere. And I was like, one of these days, and my friend spoke it over my life. She was like, "Well, I love that you do that for people, and that's what you deserve. You deserve for
Yes.
that to happen to you." And so for this trip, like they were like, "What do you like to eat? Here are the people who are
Wow.
going to be picked. They sent me an itinerary. You're going to be picked up from here. You're going to be driven over here. You're going to pick. Would you like to go somewhere else? You want to go to the bookstore? Yes.
Wow. They
And then
really
they
honored you.
Yes, and I got to read one of my poems at the ceremony, and it was so funny because I forgot the poem is funny because I didn't write it to be funny, but it is. But I read a poem called "Denture Love," and
Mm,
the winner, the person who was being inducted into the Writers Hall of Fame, he was actually a cartoonist. So like they don't, they're not so hierarchical to not recognize that good literature is good literature, and even
yes,
something in the comic book form can change someone's life, and
absolutely.
it's very accessible. So yes, the guy who wrote the Pickles comic, his family was in the front row, and they were cracking up at every other line to where I had to stop, and I was like, you guys, I'm trying to talk about varicose veins.
Oh, wow.
So it's a
Oh,
cool award, and it was a gigantic honor. And sometimes uh, it was hard to take in, but I really have to push myself to say, like, no, if they did this, you got to do it back at least. So I got
absolutely.
super dressed up, and my husband flew in with me, and I just had a phenomenal time.
That's wonderful. I say congratulations. Again, I know it was many years ago,
Yeah.
but you have set the standard for being the first. I don't care if it's 30 years from now, 40
Oh.
years from now, somebody get to tap in and say,
Mm.
wow. And to see how dope you are just from the things that you have said. Like, I'm always in awe. I said this pre-interview, just having a conversation with you, talking with you. I just always learn something new. And I love you are example in my eyes of a true creative.
Mm.
And I say that because we haven't even touched, and we're going to go one more thing and then we're going to get out of here. Let's talk about you painting as well.
Okay. Yes. I will rewind real quick.
Okay.
I was like, first Roman. Yes, for that award. So I was the first Black woman to ever receive that award,
Yes.
um,
Yes.
which they didn't even really know. And it's the thing, right? Asking who's in the room. Like this, there, I feel like there's a push and a pull around DEI. And I really urge people to look into it much more closely, because part of DEI is asking who is in the room. So like who is selecting the recipients, and also like are we looking into people who are also spoken word artists? Are we looking into cartoonists? Who is in the room and who is missing? But yeah, they didn't realize that I asked, and the woman who gave me my necklace, she looked it up for me and she said, "Oh, Vogue, you are. We've had a couple of people in this group in this community, but yeah, you are the first Black woman."
Wow.
And I just, she, but
But you know what? You're a great example of what needs to be done. But let's talk about who's in the room. We need to always know who's in the room, because sometimes those are the ones that are making decision for us, and we need to know so we can navigate properly.
yeah,
Who's in the
who's
room?
in the room? That's
Wow.
all.
Wow.
Simple
I love
questions.
that. I love that. Yes, and thank you again for just going into that detail so we would know.
Yeah.
Let's do a wheel turn and talk about your painting.
Yes.
How long you've been participating in doing that, and just what are you working on now if you have a painting that you're
Yeah.
working on?
Yeah. Painting. Well, my grandmother and my aunt were both artists, watercolors, pastel artists. They were painters. And so I grew up around them doing it. I didn't do it as much. I loved like crafty things. Like, we had bars of soap and I would like carve it into like a shape. And that was really fun. She like made our cornhole thing, and like it was a frame with, and she cut a hole in the middle of it and painted it a face. And so my grandma just had us, we worked with our hands a lot.
That's great.
Yeah, and it keeps it same other things that can keep your mind sharp is getting away from your computer desk and moving to a tactile desk. And like you said, I'm gonna write. You didn't say you were gonna type up your bio. You said I'm gonna write, and
Hmm.
that stimulates a different part of the brain. Anywho.
I agree. I agree. That's why I have a thick book that I write.
Mm-hmm.
But yes,
Mm-hmm. Because as you're putting your energy into it, it does something. It holds the memory closer, which is why people who take notes, like it's not really the notes themselves. It is because you can refer back to them, but it's about you had to translate what a person said to you into a way for you to understand it and to put it on the page so that you remember it. So you've created a full connection of that experience.
Great point.
I need to just study brains next. So 2020, my nieces were watching slime videos, and I was like, you guys, we can't watch slime videos for this whole panorama. Like we ain't gonna be sitting here watching these videos the whole time. Y'all are tripping. Can you watch something productive? And they were like, TT, like, we got to be in this house. Is this it's a disease outside? Nah, TT. And like, no, find something else to watch. So they find these fluid art videos, so pour painting. And I go, what the heck is that? I have no idea what it is, but they're watching it. And then, they left that weekend and I kept watching and I kept watching more videos and I found 3 artists that I liked. And I kept watching. And I was like, I could do that. And I was like, I could do that. And I was like, I could do that. So strolled over to Joann's, RIP, and grabbed the kit and starter kit with my play cousin, and we sat there and went through our first endeavor of trying out a pour painting. So I just kept doing more and more and more. And the other thing was I was kind of blocked, like writing. Well, it's not even true actually, but in my head and heart, like writing wasn't making sense. Like I write to make sense of the world, and the world didn't make sense, and so writing felt futile. And I missed all my college friends. And I was like, normally we would get together at least once a year and we couldn't visit each other. I was like, I want to visit you. I plan to go see you, April for your birthday. So I made every single friend a painting and shipped it out to them. And I was like, if I can't come to you, I'm going to send you a piece of me in the mail, me in this mailbox. So I sent everybody, I let them all pick out. I had taken photos and I was like, pick out the painting that you want that works for your home. And I sent those out to everybody. And then I kept doing it. And so it became Pearls of Gratitude. My grandmother's middle name was Pearl. And so it was like, instead of Pearls of Wisdom, Pearls of Gratitude, like I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for things I have, grateful for friends, grateful for family. And in my packaging, when I would send paintings out, because after a while, there's just so many where I was like, all right, I guess I'll sell them, but mostly because, the house is full. And I try to make a rule that the hobby pays for itself at minimum. So I had a separate account anyways for poetry business things, but I was like, I need the art to, the math.
Yes.
The math.
Yes.
Visual art's expensive. Like being a poet, all I need is scrap paper and a pencil, and I'm good. Painting, you need 5011 materials, and they're not cheap if you're getting the materials that are color fast. Quality materials helps you create quality art. So, my brain.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, thank you. When I shipped paintings to people, when I was selling them, I would send them 2 thank you cards that were blank, and I would include a stamp because I love stamps, and I'm a forever stamp purchaser. So I buy forever stamps. Wow. So I sent them a forever stamp, 2 thank you cards, 2 envelopes, and said, okay, this is for you. This is, I'm grateful to you. Thank you for buying my painting. Here are 2 blank thank you cards. I want you to write one for yourself to thank yourself for what you've done. And then I want you to write one that you're going to mail to a friend and say thank you. And you don't have no excuse to not send it because I gave you a stamp. So don't play with me.
Okay. What a thoughtful way to remind someone that I'm giving you a gift, but you need to pass it forward. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And especially 2020, especially 2020 where I felt disconnected. I was like, how do I facilitate connection?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it's still part of my practice.
I love that. I love that. I think all of us kind of felt disconnected, and some of us needed to be disconnected to be reconnected.
Yes.
And I love that you really were very thoughtful in what you did and how you did that. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a piece again. Remember, today I'm the student.
Hey.
And I'm happy to be the student today. Mm-hmm. Wow. So before we go out of here, or excuse me, get out of here, I do have one more question. But before I do that, I want you to please tell my audience how they can get in contact with you, all your social media handles, and any upcoming events that you may have.
Yes, thank you. All the things. So my website is vogue316.com, and that's the simplest way to get in contact with me, because if you send an email through there, it just goes directly to my regular email that I check on my phone. I know people are I'm always sketchy, like, oh, nobody cares about the contact page. No, if you connect to me on the contact page, I receive it to my phone. So use the website. I promise I'll be over there. So that's number one, my website. I use Instagram more than anything else. And so that's at Vogue R316. And so those are the two places you can kind of find me on the internet. And the workshops I have coming up, I've got some, I have a free community resume writing workshop. So it's for youth. So 14 to 20, ages 14 to 20. So that's Tuesday, April 1st from 4 to 6 p.m. at Derfelt Community Center. And that's at Lorenzi Park, basically.
Yes, yes.
Same location, April 2nd. So the next day, that Wednesday from 4 to 6, I have cover letter writing workshops. And same thing, ages 14 to 20. I will teach them how to write a cover letter. And those two things, they're free and open to the public, but we just want to make sure we have youth coming into the Derfelt Community Center. So I have those things. And then what else do I have? Oh, and then Thursday, so yeah, it's the whole week. Thursday, April 3rd, we have a youth poetry open mic night. And I would love to see your youth. So if you have a kid that has been writing short stories or poems or lovely little notes to you, and you think maybe they want to read their work out loud, or if they love reading and there's a poem they love, because it doesn't have to be just their own work, it can be another person's work, they can come read it. But nice. Ages 14 to 20 get preference Thursday, April 3rd from 4 to 6 p.m. And I would love to see your little people.
And where is that as well?
That's at the same location. So
okay.
I'll be at Derfelt. Catch me inside at Derfelt Community
Center. I love that. That's wonderful. I love that you're very intentional with pouring back with the youth and making sure they have a platform or space to express themselves, because we know how important that is. Yes. I'm a big advocate for the youth. I'm an advocate for people just really expressing themselves on the highest vibration. So kudos to you. Wonderful.
Really. And I'll shout out to Batteries Included for the city of Las Vegas. Like, it's a great department. Miss Tara, when she was there, she did an excellent job. And then right now, Miss Cherie is also phenomenal.
I agree. Phenomenal team. Yes. And again, we'll make sure we have all that stuff and put it in the description box. Great. But before we get out of here, my last question I would like to express to you is, if you had the opportunity to showcase parts of you or all of you to the world to dedicate a song, what song would you dedicate to the world? Ooh.
I feel like I have it's two.
Okay, listen.
It's two.
Yes, give it to me.
Well, I feel like Strength, Courage, and Wisdom is that one. I think that it's such an empowering song, and it's helping people to see themselves clearly. I think when we are at peace with ourselves, then we can exude more peace into the world. Like, I think there's some folks in power right now that don't have no peace within themselves, and so they are wreaking havoc across the world. So you know what it is. And I want that. But then I was funny this morning, I was singing with the girls. It was going through a bunch of Bruno Mars songs, but there's it's not even his song, it's like Travis Scott's song, but the I Want to Be a Billionaire song. And I think because of the way that it was written, it felt so kind of pure, in the way that when we ask if you're, what is it, like pageant, when you're a pageant and they're like, what do you, what's your gift? What do you want for the world? I want world peace. Like, I feel like there are portions of that song that speaks like wanting world peace, wanting people to always be fed. And so I think, I don't know, giving that a re-listen and like listening to the chorus of it. And I think the hopefulness, I think there's like a yearn in Bruno Mars's voice that I really connect to, where it's like, do I need some money? Yes. But then also the concept of, here are the good things that I would do, and a little bit of luxury.
Okay.
I think that combo, I wish it for all of us. It doesn't necessarily have to be billionaire, right? Because it doesn't actually take billions to have luxury for ourselves. But the concept of having generosity for ourselves and for others, and helping people meet at the bare minimum their basic needs. Because in a country as rich as this, it doesn't make sense that we're not all at that space of our basic needs are not met. But there's empty casinos, that have been abandoned for years, that that are roofs, that could be maybe revitalized. And then we have people who are homeless on the street as you're driving to the strip, where people are pouring money into a machine on a whim, on a bet, on a maybe. Like you don't know where your money is going and you're putting it in
Yes.
this machine. If you just want to gamble your money, then give it to somebody on the block because you know where it's
Yes.
going to go. Or, it's a gamble because you don't know what they're going to do with it because you don't know what their mental health is. But if we're gambling,
Yes. Why not? Yes. No, I definitely get your perspective. So Travis Scott, you said billionaire.
yes. I want
Um,
to be a billionaire so freaking bad. Buy all of the things I never had. I want to be on the cover of Forbes magazine, standing next to Oprah and the Queen. Yeah. But there's like a bridge. The bridge is more thoughtful, if you will. But
yes. Yes. Well, I thank you. This has really been, I love being a student. I also love being a teacher.
Mm.
But today has been really fulfilling for me to give me things to think about. Not
Mm.
only me, my invisible pew, and anybody that's tapping in, you were really transparent with your processes. Um, and I love that years ago back in Harlem, they would call them the Renaissance man and woman.
Mm.
I'm going to tag you as that because you are so fluid in multi areas of creativity, and I'm sorely impressed. So it has been so fun talking to you to be able to discover who you are. I would love in the future for you to come back on and we talk about many other things that I didn't have the opportunity due to time to talk to you about. But before we get out of here, I do want to ask you one question.
Okay.
And this is going to be totally off the cuff. You're going to say Hallema? Are you serious?
Ah!
The name Vogue Robinson
Mm-hmm.
in Vogue
Mm-hmm.
has a member
Mm-hmm.
named
Dawn.
Vogue. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And has anybody ever mentioned oh, in Vogue with your name or that connection at
Mm.
all?
It's usually Vogue. I mean, back in the day, I feel like the older I get, the gap is starting to show. But what it usually is Vogue, and people do the Madonna strike a
Yes.
pose. So
Uh-huh.
that's normally where we start. If you Google me, Dawn Robinson shows up
Yes.
because it's in Vogue and Dawn. So those two names show up. So we just cross paths in the Google space. Yeah, but no, nobody's ever brought her up, but she shows up if you Google Vogue Robinson. Usually Dawn Robinson shows up when you're looking for
Yes.
Vogue Robinson.
That is very true. And I said that because I actually did that just to see what, will happen.
Yeah, what
So
shows up?
I said, I just have to bring that up. But with that being said, before we get out of here, I'll talk about the journey and the destination.
Mm.
The journey is where we learn and where we grow. The destination is where we celebrate. Far too often, we're working, and we never celebrate. And because we never celebrate, we really don't get to feel the full impact. And you don't really say, "Oh, I didn't really love what I did. I don't feel the energy of it." It's because you never truly celebrated it. So we have to do that. But when it's all said and done, we have to get back into that journey so we can continue to learn, continue to elevate on the highest level.
Yeah.
And I say this to all of my guests. When I have men on, I salute them. When I have women, I bow to them. So I bow to you, beautiful lady. Thank you for opening up your heart, your mind, and sharing pieces of you. And before I get out of here, do you have any last words you would like to share, young lady?
I'm just so grateful. Thank you so much. I feel like getting to know you has been a gift already so far. And I admire the things that you do and the way that you are making space for all the things that you love. Like, it's very clear. You feel like a woman who's, strength, courage, and wisdom. It's real clear the direction that I feel like you're going. And, I'm trying to be beside you.
I love it. Thank you so very much. You guys, please put your hands together for the beautiful. I'll say it one more time. The beautiful Vouge Robinson! And as I say to all my guests, I'll see you out here in these Las Vegas streets.
Yeah.
Thank you so very, very much. Bye-bye.